There's something the ultra-wealthy desperately hope you'll never discover. They've poured billions into keeping this hidden from you. The second you grasp these 5 truths, the instant you understand the real game being played, your entire world transforms. How you view money, your career, even time itself, it all becomes different. And that scares them. Their fortunes, their influence, their whole kingdom stands on you staying in the dark about what I am going to reveal right now. For 7 years straight, I've been digging into how billionaires truly create wealth. Not the pretty stories they share in TV interviews. Not those motivational Instagram captions they love posting. I'm talking about their actual moves with money when cameras aren't rolling. I've gone through countless SEC documents, broken down their tax setups, traced money flowing through hidden offshore accounts, and talked to insiders who've seen how these systems really operate. What I discovered blew my mind. Here's the truth: billionaires don't build riches the way most people think. They don't even build it the way they recommend you should. They're in a totally different arena. An arena with its own set of rules. An arena you weren't even informed about. And here's what matters most. These aren't just cool trivia facts. These are the exact tools, the real tactical moves that divide people who chase paychecks from people who make money chase them. Before this video ends, you'll completely understand how the entire system is built to trap you. Even better, you'll learn exactly how to break free. But you've got to stick with me until the end. Stop at Secret 3, and you'll just have random facts with zero power. Secrets 4 and 5 are where the magic happens. That's when the full picture reveals itself. That's when you'll finally see why they've been feeding you lies your entire life. Let's talk about what you've always been taught. They told you that grinding hard, stacking up savings, pumping money into your 401k, buying property, and spending less than you make would eventually make you wealthy. They convinced you that the road to financial freedom is getting educated, landing a solid job, staying disciplined, and being patient. They hammered into your head that rich folks got there by outworking you, giving up more than you, and betting bigger than you. Every single piece of that fairy tale exists to lock you right where you're standing. While you're out here hustling hard, saving penny by penny, and following their rule book, billionaires are running a completely opposite playbook. And get this, they're using your money to do it. Secret number 1. Billionaires never trade hours for dollars. They build income-producing assets that print money while they're sleeping. This might sound basic, but you need to really absorb what this actually means because everything else stands on this foundation. When you clock into work, you're swapping your time for cash. You collect a paycheck. You get paid for hours logged, value delivered, tasks checked off. The second you stop showing up, the cash flow dies. This is what's called earned income. It's the most brutally taxed, most restricted, most vulnerable way to generate wealth that exists. Why? There's a hard limit on your earning power. You've only got 24 hours each day. You physically can't work beyond that. Sure, you can level up your skills, climb the ladder, jump to better companies, but sooner or later you smash into a ceiling. Your time has boundaries, your stamina has limits, and your body eventually gives out. This is the cage. You become the product. When that product breaks down, the money vanishes. Now check out how billionaires operate instead. Jeff Bezos isn't stuffing boxes in Amazon shipping centers. Elon Musk isn't personally bolting together Tesla cars. Warren Buffett isn't picking up customer calls at Berkshire Hathaway. They control systems, they control assets, they control companies, shares, properties, patent stuff that cranks out cash whether they're conscious or unconscious, fit or sick, grinding or relaxing on a beach. While Bezos sleeps, Amazon's making bank. While Musk vacations, Tesla's production lines keep rolling. While Buffett plays card games, his investment portfolio keeps multiplying. People call this passive income, but that label doesn't even scratch the surface of how massive the difference really is. It's not just that the money flows passively. It's that the income scales infinitely, runs forever, and has absolutely nothing to do with their physical effort. Here's a stat that'll absolutely wreck your mind. In 2023, your average American worker pulled in roughly $54,000 annually. That breaks down to about $26 every hour for 2,000 hours of labor. Every single hour of your existence traded for $26. Meanwhile, that exact same year, Elon Musk's total wealth jumped by around $95 billion. Let me break that down so it really sinks in. Even if you worked every hour of every day, no sleeping, no bathroom breaks, no vacations for 2,000 straight years at $26 hourly, you still wouldn't match what Musk gained in 12 months. Not because he grinded a million times harder than you do, but because he owns assets that grow exponentially. His fortune multiplies while yours just adds up slowly. You're doing simple addition, he's doing multiplication. And that distance between you grows wider every single year. But here's the part they conveniently skip over. Musk didn't launch with billions in the bank. Bezos didn't start rolling in cash. They kicked off with understanding this first secret. They figured out early that making money isn't the end game. Getting assets that generate money is the end game. Once that clicks for you, your whole money strategy flips upside down. You stop wondering, how do I earn more? And start asking, what assets can I grab? You quit exchanging your life hours for cash and begin trading cash for freedom. This is the first gateway. Most folks never spot it, let alone step through it. Secret number 2. Billionaires treat debt like a superpower. You've been brainwashed into thinking debt equals danger. They drilled into your head to stay away from it, wipe it out as quickly as possible, live completely debt-free. For regular people, yeah, that guidance actually makes sense. Because the debt they offer you is specifically engineered to drain your wealth, not build it. Credit cards charging 24% interest. Student loans at 7%. Auto loans at 6%, home mortgages at 5%. These are consumer debts. They're anchors pulling you down. They suck money straight out of your wallet every month and funnel it into bank vaults. This type of debt destroys your financial future, but billionaires? They don't touch consumer debt. They use something called leverage, and leverage is a totally different beast. Let me paint the picture of how this actually works. But wait, it gets even sweeter. While you're collecting $24,000 yearly, those properties are also gaining value. Real estate normally appreciates somewhere between 3% to 4% every year. On $500,000 in property value, that's $15,000 to $20,000 in annual appreciation. You're not only banking rental checks, you're stacking equity. And here's where it gets beautiful. When those properties go up in value, you can refinance them, extract that built-up equity completely tax-free, and flip it into buying even more properties. Now you're compounding your growth. Now you're scaling up fast. This exact method is how billionaires transform millions into billions. They leverage debt like a multiplier on their capital, and they repeat this pattern over and over. But here's the hidden secret inside this secret. Billionaires borrow money against what they own, but they never actually sell anything. This part is absolutely critical. Picture this year Elon Musk holding $200 billion in Tesla stock. If you dump that stock for immediate cash, you get slammed with capital gains taxes. Using long-term capital gains rates, that's 20% federal plus 13.3% California tax, 33.3% total. On $200 billion, you just kissed $66 billion goodbye in taxes. So what's the billionaire move instead? They borrow against their stock holdings. They walk into a bank saying, I'll put up my Tesla shares as security. Hand me $50 billion at 2% interest. The bank happily agrees because that loan is backed by assets worth 4 times the loan size. Musk walks out with $50 billion cash in hand. He drops roughly $1 billion yearly on interest payments but never sells a single share. Never triggers capital gains tax, never creates any taxable transaction. The cherry on top? That $1 billion in interest often becomes tax-deductible when properly structured through business entities. So while you're being lectured to dodge debt and kill your mortgage, billionaires are securing billions against their holdings, funding their entire lifestyle with loans and dodging nearly all taxes. This game plan is known as buy, borrow, die. You purchase assets, you take loans against them for living expenses, and you never sell anything. When death comes, your heirs receive everything at a stepped-up basis. meaning the original purchase price resets to current market value. All those capital gains, all that appreciation poof vanishes, zero taxes ever collected. Wealth transfers to the next generation completely tax-free. This is exactly how billionaire bloodlines maintain their status across centuries. And it's 100% within the law. Secret number 3. Billionaires don't carry a tax burden like you do. Actually, they hardly pay any taxes whatsoever. And it's not because they're breaking rules. It's because tax laws are literally written to reward their behavior and punish yours. Let me drop some statistics that'll make your blood absolutely boil. Based on a ProPublica analysis of IRS records from 2014 through 2018, America's 25 richest people watched their combined wealth explode by $401 billion. During those same years, they paid just $13.6 billion in federal income taxes. Their real tax rate? 3.4%. Let that sink in for a second. 3.4%. Meanwhile, you pulling in $60,000 yearly, fork over an effective tax rate around 18% to 22% after factoring in federal income tax, payroll deductions, state taxes, and sales taxes. You're paying 6 times what billionaires pay as a percentage of what you make. How does this insanity happen? Simple tax code doesn't tax wealth accumulation, it taxes income flows. And billionaires barely have any traditional income. They don't collect big salaries. Elon Musk's official Tesla salary? $0. Mark Zuckerberg at Meta? $1. Their fortunes grow through stock value increases, but that appreciation stays invisible to the IRS until you actually sell. And like I just explained, they never sell anything. They just borrow instead. But this rabbit hole goes way deeper. The tax code is absolutely stuffed with deductions, credits, and escape hatches that only unlock when you own businesses and assets. Depreciation stands as one of the most powerful weapons. Say you purchase a commercial property for $10 million. The IRS allows you to depreciate that structure across 39 years. That's roughly $256,000 annually you can subtract from your taxable income, even while that building's probably climbing in actual value. So you're profiting from both appreciation and rental payments, but on official paperwork, you're reporting a loss. That loss cancels out other income streams. Your tax bill? 0. Real estate moguls live in absolute luxury, pulling millions in real cash flow while their tax returns show losses and they owe nothing. Totally legal and totally normal. Then you've got the qualified small business stock exemption buried in Section 1202 of Tax Code. Launch a company, hold on to those shares for 5 years, then sell your first $10 million in profits is completely tax-free. Beyond that point, you can exclude 100% of gains up to either $10 million or 10 times what you originally invested, whichever is bigger. So if you dropped $50 million and cashed out at $550 million, that entire $500 million gain faces 0 taxes. These pathways don't exist for wage slaves. They're built exclusively for business owners and investors. The system is intentionally designed this way. There's also something called opportunity zones, brought into existence by the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Take your capital gains and pump them into designated struggling neighborhoods, and you can delay those taxes for years. Hold that investment a full decade, and all future growth becomes completely tax-free. Billionaires have funneled billions into these zones, converting tax bills into even more wealth. And let's not forget the carried interest loophole. Hedge fund bosses and private equity chiefs pay taxes on their earnings, which can hit hundreds of millions annually, not at the standard income rate of 37%, but at the long-term capital gains rate of 20%. This single escape hatch saves finance billionaires billions every single year. But here's the part that should absolutely enrage you. While billionaires deploy these tactics to pay 3% in taxes, you're getting audited by the IRS for writing off a home office. Secret number 4: billionaires control information and shape narratives. Most people completely miss this one because it's invisible, but it might actually be the most critical secret on this list. Control what information people consume, and you control how they think. Control how they think, and you control their actions. Billionaires grasp this at a depth most humans can't even comprehend. They're not just building companies, they're constructing entire ecosystems of influence that mold public perception, government decisions, and even what you believe is achievable. Let's kick off with media ownership. Who actually owns the news? Billionaires do. Rupert Murdoch controls Fox News, Wall Street Journal, and News Corp. Jeff Bezos owns Washington Post. Michael Bloomberg runs Bloomberg LP. John Henry owns Boston Globe. Patrick Soon-Shiong controls Los Angeles Times. Mark Benioff bought Time magazine. Laurene Powell Jobs owns The Atlantic. These aren't side projects, they're influence factories. Every time you tune into news, every time you scroll through articles, you're absorbing narratives filtered through billionaire interests, and those interests are laser-focused. They push for lower taxes on wealth. They campaign for weaker labor unions. They demand deregulation. They lobby for government handouts to their industries. And they need you believing the system treats everyone fairly. This explains why financial news constantly pushes you toward index funds, maxing retirement accounts, and thinking decades ahead. Not that it's terrible advice, it's actually fine, but it directly serves their agenda. Every dollar you dump into stock markets boosts demand for shares, which pumps up the value of the billions in stocks they're sitting on. You're literally inflating their net worth while getting modest crumbs. Meanwhile, they're running strategies nobody ever mentions to you. Private equity plays, venture capital deals, leveraged buyouts, tax-sheltered structures. Why? Because if everybody learned those strategies, their edge would evaporate. But this goes way deeper still. Billionaires bankroll think tanks that pump out research supporting policies they want. The Cato Institute, funded by Koch brothers, publishes papers demanding lower taxes and less oversight. The American Enterprise Institute, backed by conservative billionaires, does identical work. These papers get referenced by lawmakers, quoted across media outlets, and presented as neutral research. But neutrality isn't the goal, it's propaganda, then comes lobbying. Throughout 2023, corporations and wealthy individuals dumped over $4 billion into lobbying. Congress. That's $7.5 million per member of Congress. They're purchasing access, drafting actual legislation and sculpting laws. When tax reform discussions happen, who do you think sits at the negotiation table? You or battalions of lawyers and accountants representing billionaire interests? Here's a concrete example. The private equity world lobbied for decades protecting the carried interest loophole I mentioned before. They burned tens of millions on campaign donations and lobbying efforts. The outcome? That loophole still stands strong today. Billionaires preserve billions in tax savings by investing millions in lobbying. That's literally a 100-to-1 return on their money. Still wondering why nothing ever changes? But the deepest form of control is cultural manipulation. Billionaires fund universities, sponsor professorships, create scholarship programs. They shape what gets researched, what gets taught in classrooms, what concepts are considered legitimate thinking. Question capitalism too loudly, propose policies threatening concentrated wealth, and you're instantly branded as radical, unrealistic, or dangerous. The limits of acceptable conversation are drawn by the exact people benefiting from keeping things exactly as they are. And then there's the whole philanthropy theater. Billionaires donate billions to charities, get celebrated as heroes, collect massive tax write-offs, and maintain total control over how those billions get deployed. The Gates Foundation has spent north of $50 billion. Yet Bill Gates personally decides education strategies, global health priorities, and farming policies for entire nations. He wields more influence over worldwide health than most elected governments, and nobody ever voted for him. This is raw power without any accountability. Wealth transformed directly into control. Secret number 5. Billionaires plan in centuries, not calendar years. This is the ultimate secret, and it's what separates billionaires from regular millionaires. Average people think within the boundaries of their own lifespan. How much can I stack before retirement? How much can I save up? What will my personal life look like? Billionaires think in dynasties instead. They're constructing wealth machines designed to compound for 100 years, 200 years, potentially forever. and they utilize legal frameworks specifically engineered to make this reality. The primary weapon is the family trust. When you pass away, your stuff goes through probate court, gets hammered by estate tax, which is 40% on everything over $13 million, then finally gets split among heirs. Billionaires skip all that nonsense. They dump assets into irrevocable trusts decades before death knocks. These trusts own everything. The billionaire technically owns nothing personally anymore, but they still control the trust completely. They dictate investment strategy, distribution timing, who receives benefits. And since the trust legally owns everything, when the billionaire dies, nothing faces estate taxation. The wealth flows to next generation completely untouched. But the magic doesn't stop there. These trusts can span multiple generations. Certain states like Delaware, South Dakota, and Nevada abolish something called the rule against perpetuities, meaning trusts can legally operate forever. You can establish a dynasty trust that compounds wealth for your kids, their kids, their kids' kids, stretching across centuries. Here's how ridiculously powerful this becomes. Say you lock $10 million inside a dynasty trust right now, and it grows at 8% annually. After 50 years, that's $469 million. Hit the 100-year mark, you're looking at $22 billion. Fast forward 200 years, that's $485 trillion sitting there. And estate taxes never touch a single penny because everything lives inside the trust structure. This is precisely how families like the Rockefellers, Vanderbilts, and Rothschilds have stayed filthy rich for over 100 years. It's not magical luck. It's intentional structure. Then there's the private family office concept. Once your net worth crosses $100 million, you abandon typical financial advisors completely. You hire dedicated teams, investment specialists, tax lawyers, estate strategists, concierge services working exclusively for your bloodline. Their singular mission is protecting and multiplying your family wealth across generations. They execute strategies regular folks have never even heard whispered. They establish offshore companies and tax shelters. They access private investment opportunities unavailable to the public. They engineer everything to slash taxes and maximize control. The typical family office manages $1.2 billion in assets. Over 10,000 family offices exist worldwide, controlling more than $6 trillion combined. That's essentially a hidden financial universe operating parallel to yours. But here's the truly sinister aspect. Billionaires leverage these structures to control corporations without technically owning them personally. Imagine you're a billionaire owning a media empire. You don't want your children battling over it after you're gone? And you definitely don't want estate taxes eating it alive. Solution: transfer ownership into a family trust. The trust owns the company, but you control the trust completely. Your children become beneficiaries without actual control. You handpick trustees, people loyal to you who make every decision. Even after death, the trust keeps controlling the company exactly according to your wishes. You're literally governing from beyond the grave. This is exactly how billionaire families maintain iron grips over corporations spanning generations. The Walton family still controls Walmart through trust structures. The Mars family still runs Mars Inc. The Cargill family still dominates Cargill, America's biggest private company. And here's the final layer of this. Billionaires don't raise their kids to become employees. They train them to manage empires. Private institutions like Avenue School in New York or La Rosey in Switzerland charge over $100 yearly in tuition, specifically training billionaire children in finance mastery, leadership dynamics, and network cultivation. These kids grow up fluent in trust mechanics, balance sheet analysis, and deal structuring. By age 25, they've already sat on nonprofit boards, managed family foundation portfolios, and built tight relationships with other dynastic families. They're not starting from scratch. They're inheriting fully operational systems, established networks, and generational knowledge that took lifetimes to construct. Now, here's what all this really means for you. You've been completely deceived. They convinced you that wealth builds through grinding hard, saving diligently, and staying disciplined. While those habits absolutely matter, they're not how billionaires actually create wealth. Billionaires build through assets, leverage, tax engineering, information dominance, and multi-generational planning. Those are your 5 secrets laid bare. But here's the single most important thing I can possibly tell you right now. These exact strategies, you can apply them too. Not at billionaire magnitude yet, but the core principles stay identical. You can pivot toward acquiring assets instead of selling your hours. Start with just 1 rental property, 1 dividend-paying stock, 1 tiny business, anything generating income independent of your physical labor. You can wield leverage intelligently. Grab a mortgage on investment property. Secure a business loan for revenue-generating equipment. Stop viewing debt as pure evil and recognize it as a powerful tool. You can architect your finances for tax minimization. Form an LLC, exploit depreciation benefits. Set up a solo 401k or SAPE IRA. Partner with a CPA who actually understands business tax tactics. Not just basic paycheck withholding, you can control information flowing into your own life. Stop consuming financial media engineered to keep you docile and passive. Study actual SEC filings. Analyze how real deals get structured. Learn from people who've genuinely built wealth, not social media influencers hawking courses. And you absolutely can think generationally starting today. Establish a trust for your children. Educate them about money, assets, and systems that actually work. Hand them the knowledge you never received growing up, even starting from absolute zero. You won't transform into a billionaire by tomorrow morning, but you can stop being a powerless piece on their chessboard. You can begin constructing genuine wealth. Wealth that compounds exponentially. Wealth that survives you. Wealth that sets you free. The only real question remaining is, will you actually do it? Or will you slide right back into what you've always done? Trading your entire life for paychecks, crossing your fingers that somehow it'll magically be enough? The decision sits entirely in your hands right now, but you can't claim ignorance anymore. You know what billionaires know? You possess the 5 secrets they've invested billions attempting to bury. What you choose to do with this knowledge determines absolutely everything that comes next. If this video completely shifted how you understand money, smash that subscribe button right now, because I'm going to keep dismantling exactly how this system operates, and precisely how you can flip it to build actual wealth. My next video exposes the single biggest scam running in personal finance. The one thing financial advisors will never admit to you because revealing it would demolish their entire business model. You absolutely need to watch it. I'll catch you there.